$4,000 airgun does not automatically represent the best engineering its country can produce. Price can buy electronics, machining, power, or endless adjustment, but it cannot guarantee that those parts create the strongest overall package. This showdown brings together 7 PCP air rifles from 7 countries, each chosen to represent a national approach to airgun design. We will judge them by innovation, build quality, usable performance, global reputation, value, and the support an American owner can realistically expect. A rifle that dominates one category can lose the crown if its weight, complexity, service network, or versatility becomes too costly. These contenders agree on very little. One relies on mechanical simplicity. Another replaces familiar hardware with electronic control. Others chase modularity, efficiency, or extreme tuning freedom. The winner will not be the cheapest, the lightest, or simply the most powerful. It will be the rifle that solves the most important trade-offs with the fewest serious compromises. We begin in Turkey with number 7, the Kral Puncher Mega. Number 7 takes us to Turkey, where the Kral Puncher Mega represents a very different idea of what a serious PCP air rifle should be. While most of the rifles ahead of it compete through electronic control, advanced regulators, or complex tuning systems, the Mega focuses on accessible mechanical performance. That makes it the value outlier in this 7-country field, and it also explains why it begins the ranking. Its appeal is delivering PCP performance without expensive flagship complexity. Kral Arms builds the platform in Konya, one of Turkey's major arms-producing regions. The walnut version combines a traditional Turkish walnut stock with a straightforward mechanical power plant. It is offered in 177, 22, and 25 caliber, covering common choices for target shooting and lawful pest control use. At roughly 7.7 pounds, it avoids the extreme weight of the heaviest rifles in this competition, although it is not designed as an ultralight platform. The feature that defines the Mega's position is what it does not have: a regulator. In an unregulated PCP, changing reservoir pressure has a more direct effect on the valve and the velocity of each shot. Instead of maintaining one tightly controlled output across most of the fill, velocity tends to rise, reach a useful middle range, and then fall as pressure continues to drop. That creates the familiar bell-shaped power curve. For the owner, this means the most consistent shots are concentrated within a narrower pressure window. The rifle can still deliver useful performance, but the shooter must learn that window, monitor reservoir pressure, and understand that the first and last shots of a fill may not behave exactly like those in the middle. As distance increases, small velocity differences become more important because they can change vertical point of impact. That trade-off reaches directly into our scoring. The Mega offers attractive wood, conventional operation, and an approachable route into a full-sized PCP rifle. Its simpler architecture may also appeal to someone who does not want batteries, software, or a long tuning process. But simplicity is not automatically superiority. Without regulated output or the advanced adjustment systems found farther up this list, the Mega gives its owner fewer ways to control consistency and adapt the rifle to different projectiles. The Kral therefore earns Turkey a place in this global showdown through manufacturing value rather than technical dominance. It is best suited to the cost-conscious shooter who accepts more pressure management in exchange for a traditional rifle and a lower barrier to entry. It cannot take the crown because the ranking also rewards innovation, repeatability, refinement, and long-term support. At number 6, Germany answers with a far more conservative and far more refined approach. Number 6 is the Weihrauch HW 100X, representing Germany through refinement rather than reinvention. Compared with the Kral's accessible simplicity, the German rifle tightens almost every mechanical detail. Its appeal is not extreme power or endless adjustment. It is the confidence that a carefully engineered pellet rifle can behave predictably without turning every shooting session into a tuning project. Weihrauch builds the HW 100 platform in Melrichstadt, Germany. while controlling its major mechanical production. The X update addresses the platform's historic weight problem. Its 250-bar aluminum cylinder replaces the heavier steel tube associated with earlier versions. The change is reported to remove nearly 400 grams, while increasing available shot capacity by about 80%. At roughly 7.6 pounds, the rifle remains substantial, but the improvement makes its balance and carrying burden easier to justify. The other major ownership feature is its anti-double load mechanism. If the shooter cycles the action more than once, the system prevents a second pellet from being pushed into an already loaded barrel. That sounds like a small detail until a rushed follow-up shot or an interrupted loading sequence creates uncertainty. Preventing 2 pellets from entering the bore protects reliability and removes a mistake that can otherwise cause a blockage or an unpredictable shot. Its regulated mechanical action supports the same philosophy. Rather than asking the shooter to manage the changing pressure curve described with the Kral, the system is designed to deliver more consistent output across the useful portion of the fill. The 2-stage match trigger adds another layer of control, giving this rifle a strong identity as a precise, pellet-focused platform, rather than a raw power machine. That focus is also why Germany stops at number 6. The HW100X is available mainly in 177 and 22 caliber, and its modest plenum and closed valve architecture leave less room for driving heavy slugs at the energy levels pursued by newer modular rifles. It is not built around rapid caliber changes, oversized air chambers, or constant external adjustment. Shooters who want to experiment with heavy projectiles may find its conservative design restrictive. 2026 American pricing, near $2,200, places it firmly in premium territory. That price buys strong machining, a proven mechanical layout, and thoughtful safeguards, but it does not buy the broad tuning range offered by several rifles still to come. The best buyer for the Weihrauch is someone who values pellet shooting, repeatable operation, and traditional mechanical quality more than maximum configurability. Germany has produced the more polished conventional rifle, but polish alone cannot win a competition that also rewards innovation and adaptability. At number 5, the Czech Republic abandons that conservative formula and introduces a younger, far more modular challenger. At number 5, the Czech Republic enters with the Epic II, a younger rifle built around modularity instead of tradition. Where the Weihrauch uses a mature, closed mechanical system, the Epic treats accessories and external adjustments as part of normal ownership. That difference moves it ahead of Germany on innovation, even before its balanced valve enters the discussion. Epic Airguns machines the platform in the Czech Republic and offers tactical and walnut configurations. A folding stock aids transport, while the Arca Swiss fore-end rail accepts bipods, tripods, and other support equipment. These features let the shooter adapt the rifle to bench, field, or competition positions without improvising a mounting solution. The technical centerpiece is the balanced valve. In a conventional valve, reservoir pressure pushes against the seal, forcing the hammer to overcome that pressure before releasing air. A balanced design manages pressure across both sides of the valve more evenly. The firing system can therefore operate at pressures up to 300 bar, without an unnecessarily heavy hammer strike. Epic pairs that architecture with a regulator that can be adjusted externally, giving experienced owners more control over the relationship between pressure, projectile weight, and desired output under different shooting conditions. Options include 177, 22, and 25 caliber. Depending on configuration, Epic uses Czech-made CZUB barrels, connecting this modern chassis to the country's established barrel-making industry. The non-choked barrel option is interesting for shooters exploring slugs because the projectile is not squeezed again at the muzzle. But that same choice does not guarantee ideal results with every traditional pellet. Barrel and projectile compatibility still require testing, especially at lower velocity settings. That is where the Epic II becomes a rifle for an involved owner, rather than someone seeking a sealed, leave-it-alone system. Its adjustments and modular hardware create genuine flexibility, but they also reward a shooter who understands tuning and is willing to document changes. At roughly 8.3 pounds, it is not especially light, although the folding layout helps with transport. Reported 2026. United States pricing is around $1,675, placing it below several premium rivals in this ranking. The larger concern is support. Epic remains a comparatively young name, and its American dealer, warranty, and aftermarket networks are not yet as deep as those of the established European brands. A sophisticated rifle becomes harder to recommend when replacement parts or specialized service require more planning. The Epic II therefore fits the technically curious shooter who wants a modern Czech platform, professional mounting options, and room to experiment. It takes fifth through engineering ambition and value, but it misses the top four because reputation and ownership support are part of the total package. At number 4, Slovenia introduces an even more unusual approach, one built around extracting more useful work from every charge of air. Fourth place belongs to Slovenia and the RTI Mora, a rifle that treats compressed air as an engineering problem rather than a fuel supply. It uses pressure feedback to help close its valve rapidly. That focus on controlling exactly when air starts and stops is why this Slovenian manufacturer reaches the top 4. RTI calls the system an assisted valve. During a shot, part of the air pressure accelerating the projectile is redirected to help close the valve. RTI reports an opening and closing cycle of about 1 millisecond. Air flowing after the projectile leaves adds noise and drains the reservoir without contributing useful acceleration. The Mora combines that valve with twin regulators. Rather than relying on a single pressure control stage, the system manages delivery through 2 regulated stages before the shot reaches the valve. The intended benefit is stable operating pressure alongside the fast closing cycle. This is not just another adjustment added for marketing. Valve timing and pressure control work together, so a system that releases the required air and then shuts promptly can produce useful output without wasting as much of a large fill. Serviceability brings another unusual feature. Witness holes are positioned along the action, so a leaking O-ring can vent near the corresponding seal location. That does not repair the rifle, but it can narrow the diagnosis before the owner takes the entire platform apart. For a high-pressure system with multiple seals and regulators, knowing where a leak originates can save time and reduce unnecessary disassembly. The standard configuration uses a large 700 cubic centimeter bottle and is offered from 177 through 35 caliber. Some configurations use an RPB barrel. That range gives the platform room to cover conventional pellets and larger projectile setups, although results from 1 caliber should never be treated as universal. The same air capacity that supports performance also contributes to a reported weight near 9.7 pounds. Combined with its squared bullpup chassis, the Mora may feel more at home on a supported position than during a long walking hunt. 2026 American pricing is reported around $2,450. At that level, efficiency alone is not enough. The owner must also accept the Mora's substantial weight, unconventional appearance, and smaller support footprint compared with longer established global brands. Its layout is purposeful, but shooters who prefer traditional stocks or lighter field rifles may reject it before its technical advantages matter. The RTI Mora is best suited to an efficiency-focused shooter who appreciates advanced pneumatic design and is comfortable owning a specialized European platform. It reaches number 4 because its assisted valve, twin regulation, and diagnostic features solve real ownership and performance problems. It stops outside the top 3 because the total package remains heavy, expensive, and visually polarizing. Now the competition moves from advanced mechanical air management to an American rifle that removes the traditional hammer completely. Before we enter the top 3, which national approach has impressed you most so far? Turkey's value, Germany's mechanical refinement, Czech modularity, or Slovenia's air efficiency? Put the country and rifle in the comments. Then tell us which compromise you would accept to own it. The final 3 will challenge the familiar limits of tuning, electronics, and what a modern PCP can become. Number 3 belongs to the United States and the SKOUT Evo, the first rifle here to abandon the traditional hammer completely. Instead of driving a spring-powered metal mass into a valve stem, the Evo uses an electronically controlled pneumatic spool valve. That gives the American entry the strongest break from conventional PCP design so far. SKOUT builds the Evo around a machined aluminum chassis in Pennsylvania and uses a German Lothar Walther barrel. That imported barrel separates barrel origin from the rifle's American technology. Its engineering roots reach into paintball systems, where electronically controlled spool valves are established technology. SKOUT adapted that pressure control experience to an air rifle, built for projectile consistency rather than high firing rates. Removing the hammer changes more than the parts list. A conventional PCP accelerates a hammer into the valve, creating impact, vibration, and mechanical wear. The Evo removes that metal-on-metal strike from the firing cycle. The rifle is not motionless, but one source of disturbance disappears before the projectile leaves the barrel. Electronic control manages the valve pulse without hammer spring changes or mechanical rebalancing. The platform can communicate settings and warnings through an available voice pack, turning setup information into spoken feedback. For a technically confident owner, this creates a different relationship with the rifle. Tuning becomes an electronic control task rather than a sequence of mechanical adjustments. The Evo is offered across 177, 22, 25, 30, and 357 caliber. That range gives it broader projectile flexibility than the pellet-focused Weihrauch, and places it closer to the large caliber capability of the Mora. External pressure control adds another level of setup flexibility, but every caliber, barrel, projectile, and setting still requires its own validation. Electronic control cannot guarantee that one configuration will perform like another. Innovation pushes the SKOUT into the top 3. Weight keeps it from climbing higher. Depending on configuration, the Evo is reported between roughly 10.1 and 11.4 pounds before the owner adds an optic or support equipment. That makes it the heaviest platform encountered so far. A stable chassis can be useful from a bench or supported position, but carrying that mass through a long field session is a different proposition. Reported 2026, American pricing is around $2,450. Domestic support is an advantage for United States buyers, but this remains an investment in a specialized electronic platform. The ideal owner is a technology-focused shooter who values hammerless operation, electronic adjustment, and supported position use more than low weight or traditional styling. The SKOUT Evo earns third because it proves that American PCP innovation can come from outside conventional gun making. It does not reach the final 2 because its remarkable valve system is packaged inside a platform whose size and weight narrow its practical audience. At number 2, Sweden returns to pure mechanical control, but gives the shooter more ways to tune it than any rifle we have seen so far. Taking number 2 is Sweden's FX Impact M4, the most mechanically configurable rifle in this showdown. The SKOUT Evo replaces the hammer electronically. The Impact retains a mechanical firing system while giving the shooter control over nearly every surrounding variable. That freedom creates remarkable adaptability, but transfers more responsibility for consistency to the owner. FX manufactures the Impact in Mariestad, Sweden. The 4th generation strengthens the platform with a reinforced top plate, an upgraded brass AMP Mark II regulator, and a 75 cubic centimeter power plenum. The stiffer structure resists movement, the regulator manages firing pressure, and the larger plenum stores more regulated air for the shot. Together, they support a wide operating range for pellets and heavier slugs. The smooth Twist X barrel system is another defining Swedish feature. Instead of cutting full-length internal rifling, FX presses the final rifled pattern from outside the liner. The modular liner lets owners change barrel and projectile configurations without replacing the rifle. Calibers extend from 177 through 35, giving it one of the broadest ranges here. Adjustment is where the Impact separates itself. Macro and micro controls, regulator settings, and its mechanical power system can be balanced around a chosen barrel and projectile. The quick-set trigger adds another layer, by allowing the trigger behavior to be adapted to the shooter's intended setup. When those systems work together, the same basic platform can move between a lower output pellet configuration and a much more demanding slug configuration. That complexity explains why it finishes second. Every adjustment interacts with another part of the system. Changing pressure, hammer force, airflow, barrel, or projectile can move the rifle away from a previously stable balance. More controls create more possible solutions, but also more ways for an inexperienced owner to produce inconsistent results. The M4 should not be treated as automatically optimized for every slug, simply because the adjustment range exists. Reaching the desired result can require testing, record keeping, and the discipline to change one variable at a time. Its physical package is easier to defend. At roughly 6.85 pounds in the standard configuration, the impact is more than 3 pounds lighter than the lightest reported SKOUT Evo setup. It is also roughly 3 pounds lighter than the Mora itself. That difference matters for a shooter carrying the rifle between positions. It also shows that broad capability does not always require the heaviest chassis. Reported 2026 American pricing is around $2,400. That is premium territory. Yet the platform offers a caliber-changing ecosystem and a level of mechanical adjustment that can replace the need for several more specialized rifles. The strongest buyer is an experienced PCP owner who enjoys tuning, understands projectile compatibility, and wants one platform that can evolve with different uses. The FX Impact M4 earns the runner-up position through flexibility, low relative weight, Swedish manufacturing, and a mature modular ecosystem. It misses the crown because its greatest strength remains dependent on operator knowledge. The final rifle takes a very different approach to that problem, by using onboard feedback to manage consistency itself. The crown goes to the United Kingdom. Number 1 is the Daystate Delta Wolf, because it closes the loop between commanded output and actual projectile velocity. Every previous contender controls an input, pressure, valve timing, hammer force, or mechanical adjustment. The Delta Wolf measures the result, then corrects the next firing cycle. Daystate calls this system Advanced Velocity Technology, or AVT. An onboard chronograph measures the velocity of each projectile as it leaves the barrel. That reading returns to the rifle's electronic controller, which can adjust the valve pulse for the following shot. Electronics alone do not win. The SKOUT Evo already transformed the firing system electronically. Daystate adds real-time velocity feedback, creating active consistency control instead of relying only on preset inputs. Consider the earlier rifles. The unregulated Kral asks its owner to work within the useful portion of a changing pressure curve. The RTI Mora uses an assisted valve and twin regulators to manage air efficiently. The FX Impact M4 gives an experienced tuner extensive control over pressure, airflow, and hammer settings. Each solves a problem, but the Delta Wolf observes the outcome directly. The shooter can select a desired velocity within the supported configuration, and the electronic system manages the firing pulse around that target. It does not replace projectile selection, barrel compatibility testing, or confirmation at the intended distance, and results still vary by caliber. Instead of adjusting a setting, firing a separate chronograph string, and then returning to the rifle, velocity measurement is built into the platform. Daystate manufactures the Delta Wolf in Eccleshall, Staffordshire, combining its electronic control system with an ART barrel platform and a machined aluminum chassis. Available calibers include 177, 22, 25, and 30. At roughly 7.4 pounds, it is slightly heavier than the standard FX Impact M4, but far lighter than the SKOUT Evo and RTI Mora configurations discussed earlier. That gives it a more balanced position between bench stability and practical portability. The victory is not without a serious ownership trade-off. Reported 2026, American pricing is around $3,500, making the Delta Wolf the most expensive rifle in this ranking. Its electronic control, display, sensors, and battery also create a dependency that a purely mechanical rifle avoids. If the electrical system has no power, the platform cannot deliver the advantage that justified its price. Owners who prefer mechanical simplicity may view that as a deal-breaker rather than progress. This rifle is therefore not the universal answer for every airgun buyer. The Kral remains more accessible. The Weihrauch offers traditional mechanical refinement. The Epic 2 and FX provide greater appeal for hands-on tuners, while the SKOUT offers a genuinely hammerless American alternative. But for the buyer who values integrated velocity management, premium construction, useful caliber coverage, and less manual correction between setups, the Daystate brings those priorities together more completely. The Delta Wolf earns the crown because it does not merely give the shooter another adjustment. It measures the shot and responds to it. In a field divided between value, tradition, modularity, efficiency, and extreme tuning freedom, Britain's representative delivers the most complete technology-led system of the seven. 7 countries took different routes toward one goal, balancing PCP performance against compromise. Each prioritized value, refinement, modularity, efficiency, electronics, or tuning freedom. But the crown goes to Britain's Daystate Delta Wolf, because its onboard velocity feedback connects the selected setting with the measured result of each shot. That does not make it the right rifle for every owner. Price, weight, simplicity, and the willingness to depend on electronics can completely change the decision. If you could own only one of these 7 rifles, which country and model would you choose for your actual shooting use, and what trade-off would you accept? Subscribe for more international airgun comparisons. Until next time, stay informed, shoot responsibly, and follow every airgun law where you live.